Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. For the first time, Russia now holds more gold than US dollars. Let's explore. This comes to us from Bloomberg. Russia has now, for the first time, holds more gold than US dollars in their $583 billion reserves, according to a story here from Bloomberg. A multi-year drive to reduce exposure to US assets has pushed the share of gold in Russia's $583 billion international reserves above dollars for the first time on record. Gold made up 23% of the central bank stockpile at the end of June of 2020, the latest date for which data on the breakdown is available, according to a report published late Monday. The share of dollar assets dropped 22%, down from more than 40% in 2018. And here's where part of the problem lies. We're seeing kind of the dollar kind of fall out of favor there. And these assets, of course, there has been some sanctions on Russia. So here we can see this chart where dollars and gold are measured here, and we can see that it really hit them hard back there in the middle of 2018. And it says so now the dollars are kind of coming back down, and now for the first time we're seeing them cross swords, so to speak, a little bit of a crossing the streams. Little Ghostbusters reference there, but as you can see, their gold holdings and value has been on upwards trajectory. The shift is part of a broader strategy outlined by President Vladimir Putin to de-dollarize the Russian economy and lower its vulnerability to U.S. sanctions amid deteriorating relations with Washington. And those relations will probably continue to deteriorate as many in the political classes here in the United States saw the Trump administration as being overly friendly with Putin and Russia. And so my guess is there may be some more punishment or sanctions to continue in a Biden administration. Gold is now the second biggest component of the central bank's reserves after the euro, which makes up about a third of total assets. About 12% of the stash is in the renminbi, in yuan. And so, yes, it is something that is fascinating to see, this move. We've been seeing it on a trend line for most of what is known as the BRICS nations for quite some time. In fact, there was talk a while ago about them coming together to kind of form their own combination to really essentially to team up against the dollar, so to speak. And the BRICS nations are Brazil and Russia and India and China, and the S is, I think, Spain, I believe. But yes, indeed. And of course, obviously, there's probably going to be other nations as well that would like to get in on that. So we can see here the increase in Russia's gold reserves was aided by a 26% surge in prices between June of 2019 and June of 2020. The central bank also bought $4.3 billion worth of the precious metals over that period. That's according to this same report here. So we can see how these stockpiles have been growing. Let's take a look at that chart in a larger scale here. Fascinating indeed. Since 2015, a massive increase we can see of gold into its reserves. Russia spent more than $40 billion building a war chest of gold over the past 5 years, making it the world's biggest buyer. And I always thought that China was, but maybe this is the case where Russia is. The central bank said it stopped buying gold for the first half of last year to encourage miners and banks to export more and bring in foreign currency into Russia after oil prices crashed. I remember actually covering that story when they decided to stop buying. And of course, we did see the prices of gold have reached all-time highs in nominal dollars. And so it's certainly fascinating to see this movement. But you know what's happening here is these central banks around the world, they're holding gold. And you don't see very many of them holding cryptocurrencies, although many of them would like to have their own cryptocurrency. And that's kind of what this great reset is about, sort of a digital based or blockchain type of digital ledger system for their currencies if they get reset. But in the midst, we're moving ahead in this scenario here where we're finding that Russia is now, for the first time in history, has holds more gold than U.S. dollars. It's a fascinating turn of events here to see, and I think it's a trend that will likely continue with other nations around the world probably doing the same, especially China. And they probably, I don't know, they may have already surpassed this point. I don't know what their holdings are. No one really knows exactly what China's up to in terms of their holdings, in terms of what they manufacture, what they produce. But many speculate that they're the world's largest gold producer, and they're also the largest holder of gold behind the United States. But as others have doubted that, have seen different data that shows different numbers there. But nonetheless, it is what it is, and here we are. We see what's going on here. We're finding that Russia has made this move and will continue to probably in that direction in the coming years. But what does it tell us? It tells us that we can be our own central banks. We do that by holding gold ourselves. I believe it is incumbent on all of us to diversify and to protect ourselves financially, as well as obviously we should do practically in preparations for any kind of economic hardship that may come our way, or of any other sort. It's good to have stockpiles of supplies, food, ammunition, and the like, but also to protect yourselves financially and preserve your wealth with gold. And what better way to do that than to accumulate some? Even if you're a silver stacker, a hardcore silver stacker, I think it's good to have a little bit of gold, because I think even the most hardcore of the silver stackers out there will confess that gold really is a more stable wealth preserver than silver is. Although silver is obviously a wealth preserving device as well, but I believe gold is the ultimate store of wealth. So there you have it. I hope you found this video insightful and enjoyable. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and hit that little notification bell. That lets you know when there's a new video out, because I am posting videos on a daily basis. And finally, after all of that, subscribe.